And as long as this button is red, you're in the setup mode. And I'm gonna write the formula for that equation for left-hand side equals whatever the value for x is, squared minus that x. I'm gonna put an arbitrary number there for now, okay? I'm gonna put in a target value of 1, because that's the left-hand side or right-hand side of the equation. And this is where I'm gonna pick the input for which I'm solving. In this case, there is only one unknown, so it doesn't matter. And I have no options, so I'm gonna delete these options. I designed it so that you cannot delete the first option and you cannot delete the first input. Because once you do that, you screw up my coding structure. That's why I'm protecting them. As soon as I double click on this and make it green light, it actually solved it, okay? 1 actually solved that equation. Suppose I make target value 5. So I'm solving x squared minus x equals 5. I'm already in solver mode. Boom, it solved it. Okay? 2.7913 is the solution for that equation. What was it for 1? Oh, 1.618. The so-called golden ratio. You guys know what 1.618 is, or the golden ratio is? It's the limit of the ratio of 2 successive Fibonacci numbers. Fibonacci numbers are numbers that are the sum of the previous 2 in the sequence. They come up a lot in code breaking, number theory. In fact, they also come up a lot in fractals and stuff. If you do it right, you create perfect natural spirals. So you don't have to do any algebra. The way I approach mathematics, like many mathematicians approach mathematics, mathematics is the art of reducing problems into things you know how to do. Right? In this case, I'm teaching you how to set up an equation. Yes.
On here it says
Do the macros, because these computers have protection. If that is the case, do the following. Let me see. Mine is not protected, but assuming it was, find where the file is. Let me see. Open file location. Right click on the file name and hit properties. And mine is not protected, but if it was, there would have been here a little button that says unprotected. And click that box, okay? Because Excel goes above Microsoft, are too careful. Sometimes whenever you download a file that has macros in it, by default it disables the macros. You just need to do that. Then you open it. Then you can use those macros. Since I created this file, I didn't download it. It didn't do anything to me. All right. So in this case, you know how to write a formula for the left-hand side of the equation. You know how to, the value for a target. That's it. That's all you need to know. For example, years ago, you guys ever heard a Greek mathematician called Euclid? This is the ancient Greek, not the current Greeks, which have nothing to do with the ancient Greeks. Have you guys ever heard of somebody named Euclid? In fact, he was the reference source for arithmetic and geometry, probably until about 18th century. His Arithmetica was the book for everybody. He had a beautiful proof for why square root of 2 cannot be written as a ratio of two whole numbers. It's also known as an irrational number. And we're thinking, no, how are you going to do that? How are you going to find out all possible pairs of numbers and see that it's not equal to square root of 2? No. He used an ingenious argument, which is not standard, but those days it was. It's called reductio ad absurdum, Latin, reduction into absurdity. If you're trying to prove something is right, you assume that it's not correct. Okay? Then follow its logical consequences. Over there, you need to know two things. If I square a number and the result is even number, is the number itself even? You can only get even numbers by squaring even. And similarly, if a number is even, its square is also even. That's all you need to know. So he reduced the problem in place. Those are the things you know how to do. Same thing here. You know how to do these things, all right? Now, let's kind of start using that in the context of time value of the money. Since you guys have seen discounting and stuff, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Here, T is number of periods from now, and right now I'm dealing with it at an abstract level. It could be a week, a day, a year. It's just a period, without worrying about units of measurement. FV is short for future value. R is period interest rate. This is how money goes, okay? This is kind of equation of motion for money that is invested into something. I mean, R doesn't necessarily reflect bank interest rate. If I invest into a stock, and it has a return, that's how it kind of moves. So if I told you that and FV0, we have a special name for that. We call that PV. This is short for present value. If you take this equation to its logical conclusions, we get the so-called fundamental equation of value of money. I say that's tongue-in-cheek because we have the mathematics in finance. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the fundamental theorem of calculus. It's a relationship between integral and derivative. So future value at some point in t is equal to present value times 1 plus r raised to the power t. Okay? This is called compounding. So if I invest $100 at an annual interest rate of 10%, and I keep it there for 10 years, how much money will I have 10 years from now? This answers that question. Okay? So if I say PV is $100, okay? R is 10% and T is 10. PV is how much money I have now. R is what percentage interest I earn every year. And T is how many years I'm gonna leave it in there. Well, the answer is $100 times 1 plus 10% raised to the power 10. Since we're civilized people, you're not going to use our fingers, or you're not idiot savants. Again, I'm not using the term idiot savant in a pejorative sense. Some people can make that calculation in their head. The Rain Man, okay? I used to date a lady whose son was kind of like that. I gave him 7-digit numbers, he multiplied them in his head. But he was autistic. I mean, he could not wipe himself, but he could do that. And OneNote, if you have OneNote on your computer, and you should, it actually has an inline calculator. It works a little bit different from Excel. $100 times 1 plus 10% raised to the power 10. When you're done, you say equal. In Excel, you start doing it. That's the only difference. Voila. That's how much money you're going to have. Of course, the advantage of Excel is I'm going to set this up only once. All I have to do is change the inputs. In OneNote, I'm going to have to do that equation. But if you need it just once, why bother with Excel? It's like, you're trying to shoot a little rat. Are you going to use a 45 or a 22? Right? Yes, you can put it and that. With both of them, but let's spend a 45 on it. You can even probably kill it with BB gun.